In the last video, we talked about the zero product property, which remember is the idea that if you have two numbers that multiply together to equal 0, then one of them is 0, right? We don't necessarily know which one. We know at least one of them is 0. Okay. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about how to use the zero product property to factor, to solve quadratic equations by factoring. So that's what we're going to do. Let me give you an example of a problem you might find. This is a good one. What if we had x squared plus 37x equals 0? Mr. Dussault, that's kind of weird. That's kind of a weird problem. Some of you might say, oh, well, I just need to subtract 37x from both sides and try to find the square root. That's tricky. Okay, and you might say I need to subtract 37x from both sides and get x squared equals negative 37x. Divide by x, and so x equals negative 37. If you did that, you'd be half right. But here's the thing. You're missing out on one option. Oops, maybe I can. You're missing out on one option here. And that could make this very, very dangerous. We don't know what x is. And here's a hint. X could be 0, right? What if x was 0? Then you'd be dividing by 0, and that's chaotic. So instead, let's use the zero product property to our advantage. So we're going to factor and then use the zero product property to solve this question. Okay, so x squared plus 37x, I can factor out the greatest common factor of x from x squared plus 37x, and I'm left with x plus 37. And that's equal to 0. Okay, now, two options, right? Either I have x times x plus 37. So either x is 0 or x plus 37 is 0. Those are my two options, right? And so x is 0, that's already solved, which is kind of nice. Subtract 37 on both sides. X equals negative 37. Ooh, spooky. Okay. So then your answer is either x equals 0 or x equals negative 37. Okay, let's try another example. Why not? X squared plus 7x plus 12 equals 0. This is some more traditional factoring. So, right, I want to factor out. Oh, let's even, yeah, sure. I want to factor out this, right? And we're looking for something that multiplies to 12 and add to 7. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 7. That's 3 and 4, so x plus 3 times x plus 4 equals 0. Now, a lot of students, what they do is they just say, oh, x is 3 and x is 4. I'm good to go. But wait! Remember, we don't know. We know that x plus 3 times x plus 4 is 0. One of those, at least, is 0. We don't know which one. Right? The box is closed. We don't know if our cat is alive or dead. So either x plus 3 is 0 or x plus 4 is 0. Okay, so then we subtract 3 from both sides. X is negative 3. Or subtract 4 from both sides. X, oops, these colors are kind of wonky. That's fine. X is negative 4. Those are my options. Okay, I want to do one more problem. We're just going to throw it in there. How about this one? 4x squared plus 21x equals negative 5. Oh my gosh. How could I possibly solve this? It's not equal. It's equal to negative 5. What am I supposed to do? Okay. To use the zero product property, it's called the zero product property for a reason. Doesn't apply to negative 5. So I can't just factor out an x and solve that way. I need to add 5 to both sides. That leaves me with 4x squared plus 21x plus 5 equal to 0. Okay, now we can factor this. I know that the two numbers I'm looking for, they multiply, right? Remember, it's a times c. They multiply to 20, and they add to 21, right? And numbers that multiply to 20, 4 and 5. 4 plus 5 is 9. 2 plus 10 is 12. But 20 plus 1 is 21. So those are my two numbers. Again, you can think, there's a lot of ways that you could factor this. We'll stick with how we've been talking about it, right? Split the middle into 20 and 1. Factor out the greatest common factor for x here times x plus 5. Here you can't really factor anything out, so that's like factoring out a 1. Oh man, it always blows me away that we end up with the same thing right here. Right, x plus 5 and x plus 5. So then I factor out x plus 5, and I have left 4x plus 1 when I factor that out. And sorry, I really should be writing this is equal to 0. This is equal to 0. So I'm not done, right? I factored all the way, but I'm not quite done yet. Because now, remember, we don't know, is x plus 5 0 or is 4x plus 1 0? X plus 5 equals 0. Subtract 5. That means x is negative 5. Or 4x plus 1 equals 0. Subtract 1. 4x equals negative 1. Divide by 4. So x equals negative 1 over 4. So these are your two options, right? X is either negative 5 or x is negative 1 over 4. Sometimes you might have to get, the big thing here was we needed to get the equation equal to 0 so that I can use the zero product property. Then you factor, and just make sure you factor all the way through with some of these trickier types of problems. That's it for solving quadratics by factoring. I hope that this helped. I'll see you in the next video.